American boxing. American boxing is defined by adaptability, defensive mastery, and ring intelligence. The United States is too large and diverse for a single uniform style, but the country has consistently produced fighters who can adjust on the fly while maintaining precision and control. At its core, the American approach emphasizes rhythm, footwork, and evasiveness. Terence Crawford represents this modern interpretation. As a switch hitter, he can fight from either stance, adjusting to whatever an opponent shows him. His success comes from reading subtle cues, controlling distance with his jab, and setting traps that lead opponents into mistakes. Crawford's method reflects the American tendency to blend slick defense with calculated offense, always prioritizing accuracy and timing over raw power. The lineage of this style can be traced back to Floyd Mayweather Jr., who perfected the shoulder roll and made the concept of hit and not get hit a central feature of American boxing identity. Mayweather's mastery of the Philly shell, where the lead shoulder deflects punches while keeping the body compact, was built on minimal movement, maximum efficiency, and the ability to counter with speed and precision. This approach showed that boxing could be a science of inches, rewarding fighters who could think as fast as they move. American gyms, from Detroit's Kronk to Mayweather's Las Vegas compound, forged this culture under conditions of high-level sparring and entertainment-driven market. Fighters were expected not just to survive against elite opposition, but to perform in a way that drew crowds. That environment produced a style rooted in patience, defensive sharpness, and constant adaptation. Mexican boxing. Mexican boxing is defined by relentless pressure, body punching, and a willingness to absorb shots in order to land harder ones of their own. It is a style built in crowded gyms where sparring wars shape fighters from a young age, often before they reach their 20s. Canelo Alvarez represents the modern evolution of this approach. While he still carries the hallmarks of Mexican aggression, his style is more refined. He stays patient behind a tight guard, slipping punches at close range before delivering counters to the head and body. His ability to move forward under fire, maintain balance, and punish opponents with compact combinations shows how the Mexican school has adapted to elite international competition without losing its trademark toughness. The classic model of Mexican boxing is Julio Cesar Chavez. Chavez embodied forward momentum, cutting off the ring and driving opponents to the ropes with constant pressure. His left hook to the liver became a signature weapon, breaking down even the most durable fighters over time. Chavez showed how a steady body attack, combined with an iron chin and refusal to back up, could dismantle slicker, technically polished boxers. This approach became a template for generations of Mexican fighters. What separates the Mexican style is not just technique, but culture. Mexican fans reward aggression and heart, and fighters are taught to match that expectation. Defense is present, but it exists to keep the attack flowing rather than to avoid engagement. From the classic body-ripping pressure of Chavez to the calculated counterpunching of Canelo, Mexican boxing remains defined by the ability to walk through fire and impose will at close range. Filipino boxing. Filipino boxing is marked by speed, awkward movement, and a willingness to throw from unorthodox angles. Fighters are often developed in hot, cramped gyms where sparring is the primary teacher, forcing them to learn how to attack with volume while staying unpredictable. Manny Pacquiao embodies this style. His footwork is erratic but effective, darting in and out with sudden bursts that opponents struggle to time. Pacquiao's offense relies on flurries of straight punches delivered from unusual trajectory, overwhelming opponents before they can reset. His success demonstrates how the Filipino approach values activity and surprise as much as textbook technique. Nonito Donaire represents another dimension of the same school. Where Pacquiao overwhelms with speed and output, Donaire relies on timing and counterpunching, using his left hook to punish openings created by aggressive exchanges. Both fighters show the same foundation, a focus on lead hand attacks, quick pivots, and stamina that allows them to maintain pace across 12 rounds. Filipino boxing produces fighters who appear reckless at times, but their awkward rhythm is deliberate, designed to keep opponents off balance. The roots of this style lie in environment and necessity. Many Filipino fighters come from backgrounds where boxing is a path out of poverty, and training conditions emphasize grit as much as form. Endless road work, high-volume bag drills, and punishing sparring create athletes who can fight at a pace few others can endure. The result is a style that mixes unpredictability with raw endurance, producing fighters who are difficult to solve and relentless from the opening bell. British boxing. British boxing is built on upright stances, straight punches, and control of distance. Fighters are trained from the amateur level to keep their form compact, relying on the jab as the foundation of offense and defense. The style favors order over improvisation, with an emphasis on accuracy, ring generalship, and minimizing risk. Lennox Lewis is the clearest example. Standing tall behind a commanding jab, he dictated fights by keeping opponents at range, breaking them down before landing right hands or uppercuts with clinical timing. His approach reflected the British focus on textbook efficiency, using patience and fundamentals to neutralize aggression. Anthony Joshua demonstrates how this system has carried into the modern heavyweight era. Like Lewis, he relies on straight punches, careful positioning, and disciplined movement. Joshua's best performances highlight the British priority of maintaining structure, controlling range, avoiding unnecessary exchanges, and relying on balance to recover quickly if pressured. While not as flamboyant as other national styles, the British school produces fighters who are technically reliable and fundamentally sound. This approach reflects the culture of British boxing gyms, where discipline is stressed and showboating is often discouraged. Fighters are drilled on the basics: jab, cross, pivot, and guard, until precision becomes automatic. The goal is to win by control rather than chaos, proving mastery through steady, calculated application of fundamentals. Cuban boxing. Cuban boxing is defined by footwork, defensive mastery, and point scoring. Built within an amateur system that prioritizes precision over knockouts, it produces fighters who move fluidly while keeping risk to a minimum. Guillermo Rigondeaux is the clearest modern representative. He fights off the back foot, slipping punches with subtle head movement and punishing openings with sharp counters. His style shows how Cuban boxing turns defense into offense, forcing opponents to overcommit and then making them pay with clean, efficient punches. The style shows Teofilo Stevenson represents the classic amateur mold that shaped this. As a three-time Olympic gold medalist, he dominated with balance, impeccable timing, and the ability to land without absorbing return fire. Stevenson's style emphasized what the Cuban program valued most: flawless fundamentals and composure under pressure. Both Rigondeaux and Stevenson demonstrate how the Cuban approach reduces boxing to its purest form, hitting while avoiding being hit. The Cuban system was influenced by Soviet methods but added its own rhythm and creativity. Fighters train with endless footwork drills, sparring sessions designed to sharpen reflexes, and strict coaching that eliminates wasted motion. What emerges is a style that blends technical discipline with natural fluidity, producing fighters who seem to glide around the ring while controlling every exchange. Soviet boxing. Soviet boxing was engineered within the USSR's state-run sports system, emphasizing structure and efficiency over improvisation. Fighters were taught to manage distance through constant footwork, most notably the pendulum step, a rhythmic bounce that allowed quick retreats, lateral movement, and explosive entry. Vasily Lomachenko is a modern expression of this method. His style uses angles and pivots to turn opponents, landing punches while staying out of position to be countered. Every movement is measured, reducing risk while maximizing output. Alexander Usyk shows how the same principles scale to heavyweight. He controls range with a probing jab, frustrates bigger opponents with constant shifts, and picks moments to unleash straight punches and combinations. Both fighters demonstrate the Soviet emphasis on breaking rhythm, dictating pace, and creating a controlled, safe zone in the ring. The system was designed around Olympic scoring, where clean punches mattered more than knockouts. Coaches drilled fundamentals and mental discipline, building fighters who treat boxing like a strategic contest rather than a brawl. At its core, the Soviet style is about using movement and timing to win exchanges without exposing openings. Japanese boxing. Japanese boxing emphasizes discipline, compact technique, and relentless forward pressure. Fighters are trained to stay balanced, using straight punches and tight guards rather than looping shots. Naoya Inoue represents the modern form of this style. His success comes from explosive timing, stepping in with jabs and straights that land clean before an opponent can react. He applies steady pressure without overextending, breaking opponents down with precision and body attacks. Fighting Harada illustrates the earlier generation's approach. Known for his high punch volume and stamina, Harada kept opponents under constant fire. His rhythm came from in-and-out footwork, paired with short bursts of combinations that never allowed space to reset. The Japanese school prizes consistency and composure. Fighters are drilled to maintain form through repetition, ensuring every punch looks the same in the 12th round as it did in the first. Training also emphasizes endurance, producing boxers who can sustain a frantic pace without fading. The result is a style built on structure and pressure, where technical sharpness and sheer work rate combine to overwhelm. Puerto Rican boxing. Puerto Rican boxing is built around sharp punching, pride and power, and national identity. Felix Trinidad exemplifies the style with his aggressive use of the left hook. He pressed forward behind a long jab, then unleashed his signature hook to the head and body, often changing fights with a single shot. Trinidad's success showed how Puerto Rican fighters relied on clean, heavy punches rather than constant pressure alone. Miguel Cotto demonstrates a more balanced version of the same school. He combines solid technical fundamentals with a punishing body attack, using short hooks and straights to wear opponents down. Cotto's approach reflected the adaptability of Puerto Rican fighters, aggressive enough to satisfy fans, but measured enough to succeed at the highest level. The style grew from the island's competitive gyms and its rivalry with Mexico, where entertainment value mattered as much as victory. Fighters were expected to show toughness and deliver action, but with a layer of refinement. Puerto Rican boxing blends aggression with structure, producing boxers who carry knockout power in combination with polished technique. Argentine boxing. Argentine boxing is known for grit, awkward rhythm, and relentless toughness. Sergio Maravilla Martinez represents its unorthodox side. Fighting with his hands low and relying on lateral movement, he created angles that confused opponents and landed sharp counters from unexpected positions. His style showed how Argentine fighters often blend unpredictability with technical craft. Marcos Maidana reflects the opposite end, raw pressure and looping power shots. He crowded opponents, turned fights into brawls, and forced mistakes through sheer aggression. Though less polished, his relentlessness wore down even elite opponents. The Argentine school grows out of a culture of rugged gym wars and limited resources, producing fighters who learn to adapt and survive through toughness. Whether it's Martinez's slick counters or Maidana's storming pressure, the national style is defined by awkward timing, durability, and the ability to impose will through unorthodox means. Thai boxing. Thailand's approach to Western boxing borrows discipline and rhythm from Muay Thai, while adapting to the ring's demands. Kaosai Galaxy embodied this style in the 1980s. Fighting from a southpaw stance, he applied steady pressure behind a stiff jab, then punished opponents with a crushing left hand. His balance and conditioning, shaped by Muay Thai roots, made him nearly impossible to push back. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai carries the same traits in the modern era. Known for his heavy left hand and rugged pressure, he overwhelms opponents with pace and toughness. His style relies less on finesse and more on endurance, forcing rivals into drawn-out exchanges where his power eventually breaks them down. Thai fighters are trained to be durable and disciplined, with roadwork and conditioning forming the base of their preparation. The result is a style that emphasizes pressure, stamina, and power punching, creating champions who can impose their will from the opening bell until the last round. Irish boxing. Irish boxing is rooted in pressure, stamina, and emotional intensity. Bear McGuigan captured this style in the 1980s, driving forward behind constant combinations and a relentless pace. His fights were defined by energy and crowd-driven momentum, showing how Irish fighters often thrive on pressure and output rather than cautious tactics. Katie Taylor represents the modern dimension. A product of elite amateur systems, she combines technical volume punching with sharp footwork. Her success highlights the Irish emphasis on work rate, using quick bursts of straight punches and tight angles to overwhelm opponents across all rounds. The culture of Irish boxing values heart and endurance, with fighters trained to keep pressure high even when fatigued. Whether through McGuigan's grit or Taylor's precision, the national style is recognized for its combination of aggression, pace, and resilience. German boxing. German boxing emphasizes structure, discipline, and control of distance. Vladimir Klitschko is the most famous example. Fighting out of German gyms, he relied on a dominant jab and clinching to neutralize opponents. His style was built on safety first, establishing range, limiting exchanges, and capitalizing on mistakes with straight right hands. Henry Maske reflected the same tradition at light heavyweight. Known as the gentleman, he fought from an upright stance with precise, straight punches, focusing on clean technique and minimizing risk. His approach mirrored the German boxing ethos, methodical, disciplined, and fundamentally sound. This system emerged from strong amateur programs that valued order and repetition. Fighters were drilled to maintain stance, guard, and balance at all times. While sometimes criticized as rigid, the style produced champions whose efficiency and structure allowed them to dominate through consistency and control.